Will anyone be punished?
Who?
Just anyone.
Ever?
Ever.
Yeah. The wrong people, but yeah. Oh man, did you hear about the woman that the Trump administration is trying to execute, like really quickly before they're on their way out?
But I did hear you still trying to press executions on their way out.
It's a bunch of executions, and there's this woman in particular. Should be the first. This is also like the first time in like 100 years a president has tried these like last minute executions through in their like lame duck period. But man, this lady's story is so fucking sad.
What happened with her?
Well, I mean, she did murder someone. And I guess, like, I'll tell you the gruesome part, this gruesome thing she did. He sent me this picture of Trump with all the fast food. It was so small, and then I made it big, and the look on his face just made it cracked me up. Dumbass motherfucker.
Probably the best meal ever served at the White House.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, put that in the scrapbook, in the greatest hits of Trump.
I like how Abe Lincoln is just staring down on all of those Big Macs.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe. We are in Seoul, South Korea. You are probably not. It is 11:39 a.m. on a Friday, technically morning. It is January 15th, 2021. The table has been set with the date and the time. That's probably it, right? We can pack up and go home. Nothing happening in the world.
Well, I want to
about.
I want to say God bless big tech.
Yes.
They're finally getting stuff done. They have single-handedly turned the GOP against Donald Trump. Where everyone else failed, big tech came in and saved the day.
They did, in a way.
What would we do without our tech overlords? The people who control the information control the railways. Wait. See, that was supposed to be a Dune reference, but I think I fucked it up.
I was
What is
just
it
going to
about?
say, I think that goes a different way.
I don't think there's anything about a railway in Dune.
And you're combining Ayn Rand with Frank Herbert.
Herbert. Well, they were combined as one man.
Don't misgender Ayn Rand, dude. Not cool.
One special man. Trust me, if Ayn Rand was alive today, she would have totally wanted to be a man.
I feel like we're getting into weird cancellation territory.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not trying to get canceled. Maybe she wouldn't want to be a man. I'm not sure. All I know is that she had rape fantasies. Seriously, read her books.
No, I know about
Every one of her books includes some type of like powerful man raping the powerful woman character who's not as powerful as the men around her.
I heard that's in one book. Is it really all of the books?
It's like prominent in the Fountainhead, but it basically happens to what was the main character of Atlas Shrugged? Dagny Target in Atlas Shrugged too. But it's very, very prominent in Fountainhead, but whereas in Atlas Shrugged, it's more of like rape light, but it's still rape.
And we are off to a good cancellation start.
Here I am,
We're-
the resident Ayn Rand scholar. He deaf the universe.
You're going to get canceled before we ever even get started. Canceled with a fan base of 10.
So, as I was saying, big tech came in to save the day. They have done many things this week. They have banned Donald Trump from TikTok.
Only TikTok. It's a swift, specific target of TikTok, yes.
They have canceled Parler's subscription to Amazon Prime.
You're so close to the truth.
Including the servers. YouTube is no longer going to play his videos, I guess. Facebook has banned him. Twitter has banned him. And the big kicker of all this, I mean, all that matters, I guess. It's cool to show that they can just ban people whenever they want to. Big tech has started pulling their super PACs away from the GOP. And suddenly the GOP is turning against Trump.
Fancy that. Yeah, it's funny how, funny, I don't know what the right word is, because it's not surprising at all either. Like, obviously people kind of money talks and bullshit walks, and that's just that's like the most true thing I know of in the world. It's the only thing that seems truly time tested and
People
shown
get
over and
mad
over
when you
again.
fuck with their money, right?
Yeah, and but like the timing is so stupid. Again, like I think we probably said on the last episode a little bit about this, but like all these people bailing on Trump at the last second is just hilarious to me because he's fucking done. Like he's so obviously done for anyway. But the part like what really like the final blow, like the last the final blow was big tech, but not just big tech. I think last week we mentioned like those like these huge business organizations, committees, whatever, not committee, tribunals, whatever. I don't know. Like I don't have the names in front of me right now. We talked about it last week, but like they all officially like declared like Trump should be removed. But it's like in the last 2 weeks of his presidency or last week, depending on who you're talking about exactly. And like Mitch McConnell has only now just said, like as of like yesterday, that he thinks Trump has impeachable offenses. It's like, who cares if you say it now? It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to happen. And even if it did, you're going to say something. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say it has nothing to do with tech pulling funding away from the Republicans.
Yeah, that's again a happy
It's
coincidence.
not the bannings. It's not banning Donald Trump for all the platforms. It's fine. Ban him from the platforms. I personally think it's a good thing. I mean, because these are the same people who think that you shouldn't sell gay people cakes, so you shouldn't let Republicans use social media. Why not? If those are the rules we're going to live by, fine.
I think you can say if those are the rules we're going to live by, then fine. But at the same time, I think it's important to say that those are kind of shitty rules and that they're almost certainly going to be used to stifle the left.
Yeah, I mean, it's shitty too, because
I mean, they
now
have been already. So
these tech companies are like under investigation because a lot of them are like borderline. A lot of them are basically monopolies, and they're under investigation right now. And it's almost like they're trying to placate the side that is going to be holding those investigations, because maybe tech companies would like to go back to looking like the heroes that they were touted as during, say, the Obama years.
yeah, and I mean, they just don't want government oversight, and I don't think they really have anything to worry about. Not with this administration that's coming in now. Like, I mean,
and it sucks because, I mean, it's a good argument that Facebook and Twitter is part of what got us into the mess that we're in right now, as far as like the right wing becoming more and more extreme. Because I mean, there's been studies done that basically the rhetoric has pushed people farther and further right. I mean, that's probably true for the left too. In ways, I'm sure it's also pushed people farther and further left, but that's good. I want people to be pushed more left. But there is like weight to like you end up in these online bubbles, and like it just, because of like how ads work, it will push you more and more to what you want to believe.
yeah, it creates like this digital echo chamber, and yeah, there's some merit to that, but it's like the fucking genie's out of the bottle there. Like, we're not going to just cancel the internet suddenly. Like, and also like, it's not like in the days of network TV, people weren't equally as like trapped in an echo chamber either. Like, it just wasn't as overwhelming. Like, you watched your one network station that you had allegiance to, and that's where you got all of your information. You know, that, and maybe like your one newspaper that you like to read.
But here's the thing. Here's why a lot of the GOPs like basically decided to turn sides. So as of January 12th, I think the last company to do it, but Walmart was the last company to say, it's hard to call Walmart an online company, but they actually are doing fairly well as far as online business goes.
Yeah, I'm
they
sure.
managed to compete with Amazon, which is the hard game, I suppose. But Walmart, along with Google, Goldman Sachs, Coca-Cola, Twitter, quite a few others, had all basically said they were going to pull any of their contributions to the GOP for any GOP member who refused to, certify the vote?
Certify the vote?
Yeah. So, like, once the tech companies started saying, hey, we're going to close off our coffers, suddenly the GOP decided to turn against Donald Trump. I don't think it has anything to do with the writing. Well, maybe it has something to do with the writing. I mean, in all fairness, Trump has been telling people for months now that the vote's not real, which is a problem and shouldn't be allowed because...
Yeah, but like a good chunk of Republican congressmen, like,
we're also pushing that narrative.
We're pushing that completely, yeah. I mean,
but
the big ones, Josh Hawley and even Mitch McConnell too. Mitch McConnell was going along with that. He was aiding and abetting the whole thing.
The money's dried up, so if the money's dried up, there's no reason to push that narrative. You only push a narrative when there's money behind it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm pushing this narrative, because of my support from Walmart, Google, Twitter. You would not believe how much money they pay me, Joshua.
I wouldn't. You're right.
I'm surprised they haven't got to you about pushing air to Jet.
Well, way to hold out on me, asshole.
They told me I couldn't mention this to you. I hope I don't lose their strong support.
I think you might.
God.
I mean, this isn't live. You want me to edit this out?
No.
Beep. Okay. And we're back. Yeah. I agree. Like, this is all having an effect. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the Senate votes on the impeachment stuff. Although I mean, you heard it here first, or not first, but I'll say officially, I don't think he's going to be removed from office with like 2 days left. Like, they're talking about doing the vote on the 19th. Like, just as like, I mean, that would just be funny. That would be hilarious. He gets removed like the day before. I mean, the Senate did, when they adjourned after the riot, which I've bitched about as being ridiculous on the show before. The Senate's date to return was the 19th. So, I mean, they could just convene now if they wanted to, but they're not, because they're not in a huge rush like they claim to be.
I'm going to defend Schumer here just because I looked this up the other day. He did ask for people to come back early.
Yeah, I saw that.
But McConnell said no. But I don't know.
Remember I asked you if you thought like people were going to try to like cement January the 6th into our minds as like a 9/11 style like day to remember, and you thought, I believe you said you didn't think so. I
did say that.
I just thought of it because Chuck Schumer also said recently, like he said he had some language that sounded very much like that's what he was trying to do. He's like, this is going to be a day that lives in infamy forever, or something like that. Anyway,
never forget.
Side note.
Never forget the day that Raccoon Hat stormed the White House and sat in the most sacred of Senate chairs.
The other name that people were using on that guy was the Q Shaman, which I kind of liked.
Oh, I do like the Q Shaman.
Yeah, it's probably the best name. But I like the dismissiveness of Raccoon Hat guy a lot as well.
Did you even a raccoon hat, which makes me feel a bit bad?
Actually, I saw it from a different angle the other day and thought actually like Jason was more right than he realized, because like there was like what looked sort of like a striped tail on the side that I hadn't really noticed before. So it's like part buffalo, part raccoon. It's like some horrible Frankenstein abomination.
Combination raccoon buffalo hat.
Maybe it has some weird like Q mythology meaning behind it. When the raccoons lay down with the buffalo, we will see the great purge or whatever. Just a quick that asshole, the raccoon man shaman guy. Did you hear about him being in jail? So they did arrest him.
No, I didn't. I think I heard he was arrested, but I didn't. Did something happen while he's been in jail?
Yeah, he according to his mother, whom I believe he lives with, whatever. But it's just kind of funny. He was like whining like a little baby that the jail wouldn't give him organic food options for his meals. Seriously. And okay, it gets better. The story has developed further since that story. But like, just think about that for a second. I would be more sympathetic. Sympathetic seems like such a strong overreach, but it'd be one thing to be like, I have like this moral objection to eating meat, maybe, if it was like part of your religion, like for real, you know what I mean? Like if you're like, there's no vegetarian, they're like forcing me to eat meat in here or something. But organic, come on, man. But then it gets worse. They've buckled and are giving him organic meals now. Special organic meals just for him. What? So, yeah, I mean, if that's not white privilege in action, I don't know what is. Meanwhile, there's like BLM protesters serving like a decade plus for throwing paint on a building. But we've already talked about that. So,
Are they also being fed organic meals?
oh, I'm sure they're getting exactly what their dietary needs are.
Maybe prison's the way to solve the pandemic. We just put everyone in prison.
Instant herd immunity. Oh man, I think like if we touch on COVID right now, we're gonna get totally lost, especially since we're trying to make this episode a little shorter. So I'm gonna consciously avoid that.
I consciously avoid COVID every day.
Me too.
I still live in fear.
Do you want to say anything more about big tech monopolizing the sectors?
I think it's like a weird issue right now because like different companies are under investigation right now for being too big. Like they've talked about splitting up Facebook. I know that they've looked into Amazon some too. And it's just weird that suddenly they're coming out or pulling funding from one side over. I mean, I jest about the capital right. There is some like actually bad, like majorly bad connotations with that. Like it's kind of scary to have a mobilized mob. And then the way that they've been treated, I mean, getting organic meals in prison is not. Anyways, I do think that it's a fishy. Fishy's the word, that they're coming in support of the Democrats now. And with the connections that Kamala Harris has to the tech world and the funding, it does just make me think that.
Pretty deep connections there.
That all this criticizing of tech and maybe like the potential of actually start breaking up some of these companies is just going down the drain because they've decided to do what the current party in power wants them to do, and I don't think that's great.
Well,
in fact, and then like on the stuff for censorship, I mean, I'm kind of for moderation online, but I think it has to be way more clearly defined, and it shouldn't be done with like bot algorithms. But that's a whole nother thing. Anyways,
I mean, I was just gonna add, like you said, that the like tech companies are gonna do what the party wants them to do, but I see it more as the reverse, or at the very least, it's like an equally mutually beneficial relationship. Because like you said, like even like the GOP, they're just following the money, so to speak, like the money that comes from big tech.
Yeah, I don't think the GOP is disgusted by the right at all. I think the only thing that's making them change their tune is the fact that they're losing money.
Right. And I'm just saying that like the Democrats are beholden to these companies as well. It's not so much that the companies are going to do what the Democrats necessarily want.
Although that's not actually what I meant. I meant more.
Oh, maybe I misheard you.
No, I don't think I was very clear. I mean that the companies are doing what seems to be in line with what the Democrats want, but I mean the companies aren't going to do exactly what the Democrats want. I think they're just like.
I mean, I think
they're into line to make themselves look like the good guys right now.
Yeah. And I mean, what the Democrats want is pretty basic, in my opinion. Like, they want funding. They give me the money, you know? I mean, obviously, there's more to it than that, but that's kind of it's literally the bottom line. But, the idea of like who should be making these judgments about what is incitement and dangerous speech, I think is a huge issue. I mean, we don't need to get super bogged down in it, but like, I listened to an interview with Glenn Greenwald, who, I mean, he's being kind of characterized as like a free speech absolutist. I think he's a little more nuanced than that, but I think he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't think it's a wise idea to just start like purging people because of their political alignments. Although, like, I mean, there's a conversation to be had there about like what is considered dangerous speech and what isn't. But he basically made the point that what qualifies like the people that run Twitter to be like, I think he used the word philosopher kings, like to be these grand arbiters of like what is dangerous speech and what isn't. And I think that's a good point. Like,
well, for the most part, they went to good universities. That's what.
But
it's hard to get a nice tech job in Silicon
But for the
Valley.
most part, too, they're like, they know like coding and marketing. Like that's like what the people who work for Twitter and Facebook, that's their knowledge. Like it's not like I mean, I think like anyone would be I would be sort of a suspect of anyone's biases. Like,
no, I'm being facetious, obviously.
No, I know. I'm just, I kind of just ran over it. Sorry. But like, I just, I don't know. I still feel uneasy about how, like the ease with which a lot of people are like saying like, have at it, like purge these chuds, and like without really thinking about the larger consequences. And the thing is like already people on the left that are not inciting anything, and people are just getting like booted off social media left and right. People are losing their followers and stuff. And I mean, this is all a little bit anecdotal coming from me right now, but like,
wait, I got a little aside. Much like we can't share our website on Facebook.
Yeah, I did think about that, but I think that's just a weird glitch. But because nobody follows us. But maybe we got caught in some algorithm. Who knows? I mean, I guess some of the descriptions of our podcasts are like,
we're too hateful.
Yeah, we're very, very hateful.
The heat death is a very hateful thing. Imagine Alex Jones with more hate.
We're a real threat to big tech. I bet this episode's just going to get slapped down.
I think that we're going to be banned by Buzzsprout.
That was weird when the website was not working, and then we realized it was just because you didn't pay the fee.
They don't have auto pay.
I know, but
it's so weird.
In the particular climate, and like the thing with Facebook not letting us share our actual website for whatever reason, it was like, damn, are we getting caught up in this shit? It's like, it's not fair. We don't have an audience. We need at least let us have like an audience first before you take it away. But I just so on the Glenn Greenwald thing, I just want to quickly read this thing he tweeted. So he's responding to something that Michelle Goldberg, who writes for, I think, the New York Times, said about the censorship / free speech debate kind of thing. Hang on, sorry. Oh, did you hear about how Trump is gonna like go give a speech at the Alamo?
No, I didn't.
Well, actually, that's what Glenn Greenwald was responding to here. Oh, hang on. This is just a really long tweet thread. I was looking at the wrong part. Okay. Well, so this goes into the same thing. So it says that someone was basically calling for like TV networks not to air the Trump event. The other funny thing though is that they didn't go to the actual Alamo, like, you know, the building.
Yeah.
They went to a city in Texas called Alamo, which I think has nothing to do with
the Alamo,
the building. Or maybe it is the same. In any case, he decided to go there, and I guess the whole point is he's visiting the border wall. That's the significance of it, I guess. Anyway, okay, so what I was saying before, though, about Michelle Goldberg, the New York Times person. So Glenn Greenwald writes here, look at what this liberal New York Times columnist is saying. She's saying she's, quote, disturbed at how, quote, dangerous it is to, quote, to have a handful of callow young tech titans in charge of who has a megaphone. But as long as they use that power to censor her adversaries, not her allies, she's happy. Which she writes, in fact, Twitter and Facebook's ejection of Trump is pretty much the opposite of what happens in China. It would be inconceivable for the Chinese social media giant, is it Weibo? Do you know?
Weibo, yeah.
To block the president, President Xi. Trump's social media exile represents in some ways a libertarian dream of a wholly privatized public sphere in which corporations, not government, get to define the bounds of permissible speech. Now, see, like she's articulating exactly what I'm like kind of wary of. You know, this seems like more libertarian than anything. But then she writes, as a non-libertarian, however, I find myself both agreeing with how technology giants have used their power in this case and disturbed by just how awesome their power is. Trump deserved to be deplatformed. Parler, a social network favored by Trumpists that teamed with threats against the president's enemies, deserved to be kicked off Amazon's web hosting service. But it's dangerous to have a handful of callow young tech giants in charge of who has a megaphone and who does not. This is kind of like a...
See, I agree with her.
But you also see that it's like a kind of having your cake and eating it too sort of situation. Like,
I do, but I think what a lot of people forget or scrub out is Twitter, Facebook, they're not public. They're
no, but everybody...
private entities. And the problem is if we're going to let we're talking in private spaces where, I mean, if we want like free speech platforms, we need government platforms for these. We need like public funded social media. Just an exodus from the private platforms.
I agree. But then like, let's admit then that Twitter and Facebook are not like handling this in some sort of even-handed way that people are imagining, like to imagine they are. Like,
no, they're doing it for what's going to make them the most profit.
Of course.
Like probably they're having board meetings. They're like, okay, this is how the wind's blowing. This is what's going to be best for the company.
Yeah. And I think it's a problem though, when it is the only platform.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
that's all I'm trying to say. This is not the let's defend Trump and Parler hour. Like, that's not my point. Oh. And I don't think that's anyone on the left's point. I think people are being mischaracterized that way. And
my dream scenario is we just nationalize them. Fucking nationalize Twitter, nationalize Facebook.
Yeah, I agree. But in the meantime, it's not nationalized, and I think it's worth pointing out that there's a problem here. The problem first and foremost is just the monopoly that is Twitter and Facebook and Google. Oh wait, who owns what? Are they three distinct companies anymore? I can't even remember.
They are three distinct companies.
Okay, Google owns YouTube, and Twitter owns something.
Twitter's just Twitter, basically.
Oh,
but
Facebook owns Instagram. Okay. Anyway,
and WeChat. Facebook also owns WeChat.
Yeah, I think like they've bought up a lot of the smaller apps and stuff as well, as from what I remember. I mean, what Greenwald goes on to say about that quote is that he says that is the authoritarian mindset in its purest expression. As long as Silicon Valley monopoly power is harnessed to silence those who think differently than I I support it. He's, speaking from that writer's perspective. Not a single major USN left liberal politician has objected to this. Many have cheered. So I feel like I wish there was more. I don't know. I don't remember. I can't recall Bernie Sanders bringing up like an issue of tech monopolies being needing to be broken up. Maybe he has, and I just don't remember. But
I think he has at some point.
I mean, he's talking about breaking up banks for sure. But I don't know. And in any case, we should. There's probably not much more to say about this that hasn't already been said, that we haven't already even said on our show. So, unless you've got something else in mind. I mean, I think. Can you like how much does Amazon dominate the internet? Period. Like, how can you like quantify that? Like, I guess in terms of percentage of servers in the world, right? Would you consider that domination of the internet?
Yeah, I mean, they have...
It's like half?
More than half, maybe, people posting on AWS, which is like their server company.
Yeah, that seems
basically anything you use on the internet is probably either hosted through Amazon or Google, Microsoft.
And their percentage is way
Amazon's
more than
by far the biggest.
Yeah, like way more than second place. Like Google has a lot of servers, but like they're like 13% or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so like when I was saying I'm not, part of me just like I don't care if the Republicans are kicked off. When I say I agree with her, is because part of me is just like, they fucking preach this shit. They're the ones who want corporations to have this type of power. They're the ones who seem to preach this the most. And they're only mad about it when it starts to go against them.
Right,
like,
but
they're pissed that the rules are going against them suddenly.
I get like the wanting them to get a taste of their own medicine. It is satisfying, but at the same time, people on the left also preach things like, let's be more principled and less like vindictive or whatever. Like, obviously we should be very aggressive towards political enemies, but like I think there's if we're like gonna betray like a big principle like freedom of speech is generally important, just to score like these points that make us feel a little bit better, even though it's ultimately not going to really do anything to really hurt them in the long run. I don't think. I mean, it hurts Trump personally to be kicked off of Twitter forever, but shit, man, I could see them like, when they rehabilitate Trump, which they probably will in like 10 years. They'll probably like ceremoniously give him his account back.
Yeah, I can too.
Anyway,
Twitter's around in 10 years.
Well, if Trump's around in 10 years, I would be kind of shocked. That's too. True. But apparently nothing can kill that guy. So Democrats have been up to a lot of shit because they're gearing up to take over very soon. 5 days. By the way, did you see what they have planned for the like party? I think it's not even the inauguration day, but they're having like a inaugural party with like a bunch of musicians and stuff performing. It looked really lame. It just looked like the Obama years, like being resurrected. It's like Will.I.am and like shit. I wish I had it in front of me. Anyway, doesn't really matter. It just looked really lame. They're like the lamest party. Yeah, I'm totally blanking now on who they invited now. It's being emceed by
Hootie and the Blowfish?
What's his name? Key from Key and Peele. Anyway, it's him and that really annoying actress who's like a total centrist hashtag resistance lib. Keegan Michael Key, yeah, and then Deborah Messing.
I usually like Key and Peele.
No, I like Key and Peele a lot too, but I don't know. I think his politics are a bit milquetoast at best. Anyway, whatever. Who cares about that shit? So Biden continues to want to work with Republicans. So now he's even trashing his COVID relief bill plan. He's just scrapping it and saying, I'm not going to force this through. I'm not going to just force this past the Republicans, even though I could. We've got, the votes in the Senate, or we will, in a short amount of time. No, I'm going to work with them. We're going to work together.
It's best to work for compromises, man.
And what has that led to? That's led to the kind of the news of the day or the last couple days, maybe especially today, about the check, the $2,000 check, the shiny check that Biden very clearly promised the nation as long as Georgia would get us those 2 senators.
Did he promise a $2,000 check, or did he promise $2,000?
He said the word check. I'll find it.
Well, I think he said the word check too, but he's making a compromise here that he just wants everyone to do some math. That 600 plus 1,400 is 2,000.
He's being a math teacher. That's what this is all about.
He's being a math teacher. Americans need to get better at math. It's important that we become a driving force in the STEM area of the world. No, the $1,400 check's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, he said
$2,000.
I think like he said he did one of these tweets that I was kind of complaining about when politicians just have these like strong 1 or 2 sentence statements. And I mean, obviously Biden didn't write this himself, but what doesn't matter. He wrote, or he quote unquote wrote, $600 is simply not enough when you have to choose between paying rent or putting food on the table. Oh, Joe the everyman, he relates to us. He says, we need $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, that was on January 11th. But that was after the 600 one had already passed, right? Yeah, it was. You'd already gotten your money by then. Right? A week ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the checks had already gone out. Yes, in fact, I just checked the other day and I saw that mine was supposed to be mailed on the 7th. So that was even before this as well. But there's actually another one that's even, I mean, to me, that's pretty clear. But then there's another one where he's talked specifically about like a trade. Like if you vote blue in Georgia, we will get those $2,000 checks. He uses the term again. I mean, I don't have to convince you of what he really meant, but that brings us to the point that there are these fucking sickos that just will defend anything Democrats say. And there's the internet is just full of people like arguing about they're just like splitting hairs over like a couple of like tweets, like say, what did he really mean? Did he mean $1,400 plus 600, or did he really mean just 2,000 on top of the 600? And it's,
or did he mean 600 plus $1,200? So we should just be getting $200 checks, which is maybe he's proposing this $1,400 check because he realizes Republicans are going to bargain down to 200. He'll still get to eat his $2,000.
They have
cake.
no bargaining power. That's the thing. Is like,
if I've learned
he's
anything in my
acting
adult life, Joshua, my adult life has taught me that Democrats don't have bargaining power, but Republicans always have bargaining power.
Yeah, they don't have bargaining power, but they pretend not to on TV. Or something like that. I don't know if what I just said made any sense. In any case, we don't need to do a fucking like forensic examination of this. Joe Biden is a fucking liar who promised very specifically that these stimulus checks would go out. And it was already like not good enough, not a high enough amount of money, only a one-time check, which means we would never, ever see anything again. Yeah, like anything less than giving people the retroactive $2,000 a month and for the continued like duration of the pandemic is not good enough.
Yeah.
And they can't even give the one-time $2,000 stimulus checks. See, we didn't see this coming, man. Remember? We were like predicting what's going to happen with the $2,000 check, and like our best case scenario, I think we settled on was we'll at least get the one check. For
I figured everyone would get a $2,000 check. I wasn't expecting everyone to get a $1,400 check. I guess we will get a $1,400 check, but
see, it's so funny how people's expectations just get brought down further and further and further. It's such like it's weirdly like abusive, like gaslighting type behavior.
The more I think about it, the more I think maybe we're just going to get a $200 check.
I mean, you might as well just set your expectations super low at this point, honestly. I mean, that's why I was saying, like, I was reluctant to even say we're going to get the $2,000 check. Like, and I'm not trying to say, like, I predicted this was going to happen. I'm just saying I will never be truly surprised by any of this kind of fuckery. Even though I was a little at first to see, oh, it really is just going to be the 1,400. He's going to try to weasel his way out of this. And people are going to accept. And I literally saw people saying, and these were just people, regular people, but they were like, you should thank them when you get that $1,400. Like, stop being so ungrateful and all this shit. It's like true bootlicking mentality.
People are happy their team's in charge again.
Jesus, I hate it. I hate it all. Also, I feel like we continue to be living in a repeat of a combination of 2008 and say like 2002, 2003. It's like a Bush-Obama mashup time, because we're definitely gearing up for some like beefed up security and surveillance state shit because of the great January the 6th attacks on freedom. Yeah, Biden is still calling for like more domestic terrorism laws, as if we didn't have them already. And people like even AOC, the lefty queen of of Congress, she's making a lot of weird war on terror era sort of noises. I mean, she was like talking, she literally used the phrase, if you're not with us, you're against us.
That's true.
Which, okay, it could be, maybe it's a poor choice of words, but it's hard not to read a little bit more into it. And because it amounts to the same thing ultimately, because when George Bush famously said that, he was talking about, if you're not with what we do as Americans, then you're with the terrorists. Then you are a terrorist, or you support terrorism. AOC was saying, if you're not with the Democrats, then you're with the mob, by which she means Trump people. Mm-hmm. So if you criticize Democrats, you are, by definition, a pro-Trump pro-fascist person, which I think is a terrible way to start talking in public as a politician, especially one that's supposed to be this the great new socialist hope, which I can't pretend to believe is true at all anymore. yeah, I don't know. I don't want to dwell on it for too long, but like AOC is doing some further like disappointing stuff these days. One thing was I saw that her website is scrubbed like all mention of abolishing ICE, which was one of the things she was very outspoken about, like over the summer, maybe before that too. Now it's just completely removed. So it's all these like small, like little like changes in language. Also with Bernie, Bernie has stopped really talking about Medicare for all. And I know we're supposed to be excited that he's, I guess, likely to be the budget chair.
Yeah, that's actually good. I mean,
well,
it's a fairly powerful position.
It is, but you have to actually use that power, and there's no guarantees going to push for it. This was an interview with Bernie Sanders. Interviewer says, "You're a staunch supporter of Medicare for all. Do you envision reconciliation being used for a massive expansion of healthcare? What might that look like?" Well, look, I'm a very strong advocate of Medicare for all. I introduced legislation in the Senate. I think at the end of the day, the American people understand that our current healthcare system is so dysfunctional, so cruel, so wasteful, so expensive, that we need to do what every other major country on earth does and get healthcare to all people. I'm with you, right? I'm with you all the way there, Bernie. Here's where you lose me. Sort of. What we will be doing is working within the context of what Biden wants. I will tell you this, that during this terrible pandemic, when we're seeing record-breaking numbers of people being diagnosed with the virus, the idea that 90 million people are worried about whether they can go to the doctor or not is cruel. It's insane. It's unacceptable. And that's something I think should be addressed and will be addressed in reconciliation. I just feel like he's not going to really challenge Biden, and that Biden has already made it clear that he's going to strike down any Medicare for all bill that crosses his desk. I think I say this all the time, but I'll say it again. I think I'm well within like reasonableness to be skeptical of even Bernie getting anything done here. I hope he does, of course. But this just feels like he's laying out like the reasons why he's not going to be able to get anything done in advance. I'm going to be working within the context of what Biden wants. I don't know.
Biden's already said that
what Biden wants is not Medicare for all.
Yeah, he wants semi-private healthcare that is built on the backbone of private health insurance.
Yeah, he wants to just expand the ACA, but it's never meant to expand to all people. If you look at his website, even, it's still going to leave like some significant percentage of Americans totally uncovered. And also the ACA like doesn't provide people with the best healthcare. And it's way more expensive than it would be to do Medicare for all. So there's that. But yeah, I guess there's one more thing about AOC is this thing about her using the language of the force the vote stuff, but only within the context of trying to impeach Trump.
Yep.
She let me find the exact quote here. There's more than this, but this kind of gives people enough of the idea. So I'll just read it, and let's imagine she's talking about doing a vote on Medicare for all.
Okay.
She says, sometimes it's to get members on the record so people can make excuses later. Sometimes these votes create real political pressure that forces developments. Sometimes we vote for the historical record to let future generations know we did everything we could. But she's talking about forcing the vote for impeaching Trump. That is like the number one priority right now for her and the rest of the squad, really. And
Well, they thought they could have died, man. They could have died.
yes, and impeaching Trump, even though it won't happen, because yes, as we started the episode by saying, a lot of Republicans are jumping ship with Trump, but they still have to get reelected.
They need 17 Republicans, I think. The last time I checked, they need 17. They're not going to get 17.
Yeah, I don't think so.
They might get 10. That's my guess. They're going to get 10.
Yeah.
Which won't be enough.
And even if it is enough, like we said, they're doing it on the 19th. Like, oh, that's the other thing we should mention, is that there was sort of a debunking of some misinformation that was just going around that I just bought into, because whatever, people buy into
even the guy
stuff.
who posted it just said, well, the article you sent me at the end of it, he's like, yeah, I just posted it because it made me feel good.
Exactly.
That's why a lot of people post stuff to Twitter. I post stuff to Twitter because it makes me feel good.
Right, but I guess he was just relaying something he saw on Facebook, is what he said.
Yeah.
But the thing we're talking about is the idea that if Trump is removed from office, this automatically bars him from running for future office, and it doesn't. There's like a separate vote that has to happen for that after he's successfully removed, which he won't be. Also, people were talking about, because a lot of people are admitting like at the obvious, which is like removing him at the last minute what does that really do, like on a practical level? And people were falling back on this idea that, well, it bars him from running in the future. It removes like his pension. It removes his Secret Service detail. It punishes him basically, and it actually doesn't do all of those things. We don't need to get too deep into that, but like, so even those reasons are not necessarily true. And this has been debunked like on like major websites and not so major ones. So. Anyway, so
AOC is stealing the language of force the vote. Donald Trump, if impeached, they also have to pass the amendment that he can't run again. He's probably not going to run again to begin with.
right.
And I do think they have that amendment with the impeachment this time, from what I read.
Oh, they've tacked it on to the vote.
Yeah, I think
somehow.
they did tack it on. As far as the Secret Service detail goes, because of some laws passed in like I think 2008, they're not even sure if they like can take that away from him.
Yeah, I read something like that as well. Like that was never in the cards or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Trump will even take the Secret Service detail because it's kind of optional for presidents. They get the option between having lifetime Secret Service or getting an extra $1 million per year to hire their own security.
Oh, is it per year?
Yeah, and I could see him just taking that.
Yeah, that's the choice. Is you can take cash and hire your own security, or you can just take the White House Secret Service security. Yeah, that's what it is. And I think regardless of impeachment, I think he gets that no matter what, from what I remember reading.
Yeah, well, there's like, I don't remember the name of the law, but there's like kind of awkward wording around it. They're not really sure how it would be ruled, but yeah, he'll get it.
And even if he doesn't, he's rich enough. Like it's not going to really like it's not like he's going to be without security. So it's just, I get it. People want to see like justice or whatever. They want to see him hurt. They like all that stuff. But the reason some people are annoyed by all this impeachment like excitement is because it's stopping all the conversation about, say, COVID relief, say the fact that like the COVID death numbers just keep spiking and spiking and going higher and higher, record breaking every day. It's just, it's shifting the national attention away from things that really matter, including things like Biden, like ready to ramp up the security state and basically start a new war on terror, except it's the war on domestic terror. We're just going to be like rooting out terrorists at home instead of, well, we're still going to be fucking droning them in other countries as well.
Well, it's time to get rid of the conspiracy theory nuts. Conspiracy theories are too fun.
Yeah. Also, that's a way to really stop conspiracy theories, is do everything that they predict is happening.
Yeah.
Validate
no
their
longer a
conspiracies. Well, it's like, I mean, just Alex Jones, for example. He's like, everyone's out to get me. And then literally he was deplatformed by everyone. I mean, I'm not saying I feel bad for Alex Jones. Fuck Alex Jones. But like, he's still got a show. Like, he hasn't completely self-destructed yet, which I'm kind of surprised by. But I think it's because he has this, he can now play the persecution card. Like, and so he's going to maintain an audience that way. Like, if he had just kept going on the path he was on before all the deplatforming, I honestly think a lot of people might have just abandoned him, because he's like, he's like against Q stuff now, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Fuck whatever, Alex Jones. There's also, speaking of impeachment, just briefly, there are already plans to file impeachment. What do you call them? Motions to impeach against Biden by this Congresswoman
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's right. Fucking Daily Mail ad blocked me. Can you see it?
I can.
What are the? Does it just summarize like what the charges would be?
Well, Green's a QAnon person and a 9/11 truther, but
Okay.
Basically, she said, we cannot have a president of the United States that is willing to abuse the power of the office of the president and easily be bought off by foreign governments, foreign Chinese energy companies, and Ukraine energy companies. So on January 21st, I will be filing articles of impeachment on Joe Biden. So she buys into all the Q theories and feels like Trump is a plant from the Chinese government, I guess, and is going to...
You mean Biden.
Or sorry, Biden. I said Trump. I confused the two in my head. They're both old men.
Well, what's funny about that too is how watching the roles of like the Democrats and Republicans just flip so effortlessly. Like, we were talking about it during the election, like when Republicans started getting really fucking pissed off at the Libertarian Party for being the third party spoiler, you know, the way that the Dems were against the Green Party.
Yeah.
And then now the Republican version of Russiagate is just going to be Ukraine Gate for the next 4 years at least. Except the thing is there is something to that a little bit. The Hunter Biden stuff is fucking weird.
I mean, there was stuff to the Russian Gate stuff too. I mean, every government
it wasn't about like interfering with the election in a significant way, at least. But I don't know. Oh, that reminds me of what I wanted to talk about when we were talking about like the censorship stuff and big tech. Like, I think one of the craziest examples of like tech exerting their power isn't throwing Trump off. I think the crazier thing to me was right before the presidential election when all the Hunter Biden photos and videos and shit got dumped. You recall?
Not exactly.
Really? It was big news, but maybe this goes to my point then, because it was like severely blocked by Twitter and Facebook. Like Twitter, okay, so a computer repair shop guy in
Oh, I do remember this.
Yeah, it was
Now
big,
that-
man. I
Now
thought
that you said the
remembered.
computer repair shop guy. Sorry, my brain just like farted there.
Well, so yeah, all the damning like photos of Hunter, right? Like one of the videos was literally him getting a foot job from a sex worker, I believe. Not that it doesn't matter. He's getting a foot job from a person while smoking crack, and like that was just like one of like hundreds of videos and pictures like that. And I don't give a shit about that stuff, but you could imagine a lot of people would. And also imagine Don Jr. had some material like that out on him. How quickly would that be used against Trump, like right before the election? My point is that Twitter like clearly put their thumb on the scale for Biden by they blocked anything related to that, include like articles you couldn't even share in DMs with people. It was being blocked. And yes, they're a private company. They can do whatever they want, but that doesn't mean that people can't criticize them for like, how does this endanger the public? Like, you're clearly just like protecting the Biden campaign. This is all you're doing. But
Yeah.
the annoying part about it is that they won't fucking admit it. Like, they just pretend like, no, we're this morally neutral business that, we're only looking out for public good. And they're obviously not. Anyway, I think that's like an even more egregious use of like the censoring powers when you control such a huge amount of like the conversation in the world. And it worked. Like that controversy like barely made it anywhere. I mean, that was the thing that Greenwald quit his job at The Intercept over. It, like his own publication, The Intercept, which he founded. Apparently, he had given like editorial like power over to someone else, and that because I was like, why is he quitting his own publication? Like, why can't he just publish what he wants? And anyway, he was good. He wrote an article about Twitter's censorship of the Biden story, and all the editorial staff were like, no, we're not publishing this. It's too close to the election. Like this will hurt the Biden campaign. So he said, fuck my own company that I started. And now he's like on Substack.
Didn't want another case of the emails.
Well, exactly. But like the problem with all of that kind of thinking is there's actually something to these things as well, because that's the other thing, is that it wasn't just, oh, look at degenerate Biden, Hunter Biden. There were other linkages between him and like that Ukrainian company and things. Nothing directly implicating Joe, but like things that just wouldn't look good at the very least. Anyway, never forget Hunter Biden smoking crack while he's driving, taking pictures of himself doing it, apparently. I didn't really see a lot of those pictures, but
I didn't either. I tried not to follow that stuff I often think that it doesn't matter. I mean, I get it would matter to lots of people. But.
Well, I will suggest a True Anon episode to you where they get into it and they kind of make the case that it's not just about the CD photos, that there are actual sort of links between seedy, shadowy business entities and governments and stuff. Anyway, True Anon, they need a plug, right? They're not very successful. We'll help them out.
Still
Check out
haven't
True
really
Anon.
listened to them.
I thought you did.
I've listened to like just clips.
Ah,
I
they're
know
good.
they're good. I'm just lazy. I don't
Too
listen
lazy
anything
to
anymore.
listen.
These days, I'm just focused on my high scores of video games. I've given up on anything else.
Do you listen to music when you play video games?
Music made by video games?
No, like when you're playing games, do you just focus on the game or do you ever put stuff on to listen to?
I usually just focus on the game sometimes.
See, it seems to me you could kill two birds with one stone and just listen to podcasts while you game.
I just like to direct all of my attention into what I'm doing.
That's too hard for you. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the kind of games you play. I just remember one of my friends told me that he was like, the way I unwind these days after work is just chilling out with some Minecraft and listening to podcasts. I was like, that doesn't sound so bad, even though I've never played Minecraft. But
That does sound
I guess
all right.
Minecraft is a more chill game than like something you're trying to get high scores at.
I mean, sometimes I do. I think that I'm like kind of like when I do listen to podcasts, and I do listen to podcasts, obviously. I really like doing it on my bicycle, and since I've not really been going to work lately, I haven't had a chance to do my bicycle ride to work because of coronavirus. Coronavirus has hurt my podcast listening. I know it's hurt other people's podcast listening too.
Not me. I'm going strong all the time, even when I'm just in my house.
If I just
Anyway,
had more dishes to wash.
it is great for washing dishes.
Should we get on to
One last thing, yeah, Snyder,
Misdemeanor
Snyder
King?
cut?
The Misdemeanor King.
the Rick Snyder cut of
In
Justice
America, if you're worth $200 million and you willfully killed, a town with like some Joker ass methods, you're only eligible for misdemeanor charges, apparently.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's the takeaway, really. So evil villain Rick Snyder. Also, when we did our episode on Flint, Michigan, we began it by noting that he gave Biden a very useful, what's the word? Why do I want to keep saying promotion? God damn it, my brain is broken. Endorsement. He endorsed Biden for president, even though he's a Republican. Yeah, there's not a ton to say about this other than it fucking sucks that evil people will basically always get away with their evil shit as long as they have enough money.
He's looking at a fine of $1,000. That's a punishment. He might get a fine up to $1,000.
Yeah, up to $1,000 or a year in prison. Of course, the year in prison will never happen.
That's impossible.
Yeah. He's being charged with willful neglect of duty. And I think he hasn't even been actually charged yet. They're like warning him and his attorneys like way in advance. They could at least
$200 million. They could at least just say, hey, you got to use that $200 million to fucking fix the water in Flint.
At the very least, right? Or like 20 million, like even 10% of his money, as opposed to, I did the math yesterday, like, what was it? Like 0.0005% of his total money would be the $1,000 fine. Yeah, it's like pocket lint. So, but I think that the more interesting thing is how every headline, of course they're headlines, they got to like pull you in, like you want to see what's going on, but they're all just like, when I first read it, I was like, oh wow, he might actually have some real serious charges laid against him, because all the headlines are just saying ex-Michigan governor charged with whatever, however they're phrased, but none of them are saying charged with a misdemeanor.
Neglect of duty.
Yeah.
I mean, the charge was neglect of duty, which is, I guess, a misdemeanor charge. And
he probably won't even get that, honestly. And even if he does, it doesn't fucking matter. I mean, he's going right back to where he started, which was in the private sector. Yeah, he got rich, became governor, ruined a town, and goes on being rich. That's the story of Rick Snyder.
That's the story of America.
And I found this other older article from like when he was still governor from 2016. It's titled, "Remember that time Governor Snyder said he'd drink Flint's water for 30 days straight? That's over already." And this was printed in the Detroit Metro Times. It's pretty short. It gets right to the point. Last week, Governor Snyder announced his widely mocked plan to drink filtered Flint tap water for 30 days. Filtered. This is probably like filtered through some like super industrial filter, by the way, also, if he's really even going to do it. Just like the ex-mayor of Flint, he had the same thing. They interviewed him in his house about it, and they were like, "So you drink the water here?" And he's like, oh yeah. And they said, "Do you have a filtration system?" He goes, "Well, yeah. I've been blessed with money, and I can have this high-tech filtration system." Just like, shut the fuck up, man. People are fucking dying, you asshole. Anyway, something we here at Metro Times nicknamed the governor's 30-day Flint challenge. The plan was to drink solely Flint tap water for an entire month to show residents that the water was safe and that he cared about the people. Snyder made the big announcement last Monday. "I completely understand why some Flint residents are hesitant to drink the water, and I'm hopeful I can alleviate some of the skepticism and mistrust by putting words to action." He took three 1-gallon jugs of filtered Flint tap water home with him. While some were skeptical of the challenge, considering the small amount of water Snyder took home, 3 gallons of water split between Snyder and his wife, who said she'd also partake, only amounts to 3/4 of a cup a day.
Lizards don't need much water.
Good one. The real skepticism should come with more recent news. On Saturday, Snyder jetted off to Germany, Switzerland, and Italy for trade discussions. Would the Flint water be coming along? No. He pledged to drink it at home and at the office for at least 30 days total, spokeswoman Anna Heaton told the Detroit Free Press. Traveling with jugs of water overseas isn't feasible, but he'll resume drinking water from Flint upon his return.
It's illegal. They make you pour it out if you want to keep your water bottle.
Well, nobody's saying he should bring it with him. They're calling bullshit on this guy's stupid stunt. We're not in the PR business.
Performed that stunt? President Obama.
I was just going to say, yeah, the word stunt reminds me immediately of that fucking piece of shit asshole. I challenge anybody, even the biggest, well, nobody listening to us is going to be a big fan of Obama. If you are, watch Obama doing that fucking stunt in Flint and tell me he's a good man. Just that alone should make you reconsider.
Well,
anyway, that's the whole point of that article. So Rick Snyder's a fucking rich asshole moron who gets to do whatever he wants. And I also saw that like during the height of all the crisis, him and his wife sent out like a video Christmas card, and like they kept focusing on how they were so grateful for their family's health. It's just like, read the room, you fucking monsters. Oh man, I just can't get over it. Remember the part of the Obama thing when he said, when I was a little kid, probably 2 years old, I probably ate a chip of lead paint, you know? It's the same thing that's going on here. It's like the lead levels in Flint were so high. Like it's so nauseating that people can think he's like a good man, like a moral person. Anyway, that's all that's really needs to be said today, I guess, right?
I think so.
I don't have anything immediately in mind, but should we recommend something? Yeah, just give me a minute here.
Yeah, we can aspire to recommend. Aspire is the word. What is my recommendation? If I was going to recommend anything right now, well, I'll just recommend what I've been doing in my current life. I I have watched the first 5 seasons of Vikings, and I like that TV show, so I'm going to recommend Vikings, the TV show. Which makes me feel weird because I know the Viking mythology has apparently been opted by white supremacists, which I don't agree with at all. But I don't really take that away from the show. The show's really just about, empire building and people having sex. Great TV. Really.
Sounds good.
It's a bit like Game of Thrones with more historical accuracy and less dragons.
Less dragons, so there is a dragon. I saw.
There's no dragons. There's no. The only elements of fantasy is more of like There's a lot of like religious stuff.
I was using my free Amazon account, which I duped them out of.
Because you're a student.
Yeah, with my student email address. I was watching a show on there the other day, and there was an ad for Vikings, and it was an ad, I think, specifically for their final season that's coming up, maybe.
It is coming out soon.
And in that ad, there was definitely a giant dragon-like creature flying through the air at one of their ships.
Oh, so that's weird.
I think maybe things are taking a supernatural turn.
I haven't seen the ad yet.
So
I just ran out of stuff to watch. And here I was watching Vikings recently.
I'm just saying it's funny. I've never seen the show, but I can like counter what you're saying with this one little bit that I saw the other day.
I'm sure
maybe it's supposed to be like
a vision, like some of the characters.
Oh yeah, it could be something like that.
Dream sequence type thing.
Because it looked like it wasn't even a dragon, but it was like a long sort of tailed beast thing. I don't know. Because I can't think of anything else, and we should just go soon. I'll recommend. I mean, this is a good thing. The true crime doc. Yes, I do like some of those true crime documentaries. I know it's kind of like uncool now because they're so overblown, but or overdone. But The Staircase on Netflix, I thought was a pretty good documentary about a guy who I am convinced is not guilty of the crime he was charged with. And I'll just leave it at that. There are some things I could spoil it with, but I won't. It's I think it's on par.
Still a staircase?
Yes. Just ran off into the dark of night.
Steal.
Just strapped to his back.
Whole staircase.
I will say that the guy in the main character, so to speak, the main subject of the documentary, this guy who's charged with the murder of his wife, he's kind of an interesting, like charismatic, funny guy who's like, it's interesting to watch him speak. Unlike, say, what was that big one? Was that big doc on Netflix called something making a murderer?
Tiger King?
No, I mean, that one was big, but a few years ago, Making a Murderer, the one about the 2 guys in Wisconsin who also seemed to be very unfairly targeted. Anyway, if you liked that kind of thing, you probably like The Staircase. I would say The Staircase is probably even better than that one in a way. But that's it.
Let's say goodbye.
Yeah.
That's all, folks.
It's been a real one. That's all, folks. See ya.
Ciao.
Good chow.
That's what I want to do. I want to chow down. So, as they say in the South, I'm going to have to let you go.
I met this guy.
Yep.
And he looked like he might have been a hat check clerk at an ice rink. Which in fact, he turned out to be. And I said, oh boy, right again. Let X equal X. You know, it could be you. It's a sky sky. Satellites are out tonight. Let X equal X. You know, I could write a book, and this book would be thick enough to stun an ox. 'Cause I can see the future, and it's a place about 70 miles east of here where it's lighter. Linger on over here. Got the time? Let X equal X. I got this postcard, and it said, Dear amigo, dear partner, listener, I just want to say thanks. So, thanks. Thanks for all the presents. Thanks for introducing me to the chief. Thanks for putting on the feedback. Thanks for going all out. Thanks for showing me your Swiss Army knife. Oh, and thanks for letting me autograph your cast. Hug and kisses XXXX0000. Oh yeah. P.S. I feel like I am in a burning building, and I gotta go, 'cause I feel like I am in a burning building, and I gotta go.
The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?